team up. We will fight it together as a family. Has to be us.
We will protect you.
The Fantastic Four, First Steps, 2025. A complete film analysis and explanation. The Fantastic Four, First Steps, 2025, serves as the highly anticipated and meticulously crafted reintroduction of Marvel's first family into the cinematic landscape, specifically within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This analysis and explanation will delve into the film's narrative structure, character arcs, thematic depth, and its strategic positioning within the broader MCU, examining why it has been largely hailed as the definitive screen adaptation to date. This analysis and explanation of the Fantastic Four. First Steps begins by acknowledging its foundational premise, a complete departure from the tired origin story trope. The film opens not with the team gaining their powers, but 4 years after their fateful space mission, establishing them as established celebrities in a world that feels both familiar and fantastically alien. The film begins with a complete departure from the tired origin story trope, opening not with the team gaining their powers, but 4 years after their fateful space mission, establishing them as established celebrities in a world that feels both familiar and fantastically alien. The film's setting, Earth 828, is a crucial narrative choice that allows the filmmakers to craft a unique aesthetic identity, an alternate universe of meticulously realized retrofuturistic 1960s, a world of flying cars, streamlined architecture, and unshakable optimism about the future, directly inspired by the original Jack Kirby comic book art. The central conflict is brilliantly split between the deeply personal and the cosmically catastrophic, with Reed Richards and Sue Storm navigating the anxieties and joys of expecting their first child, Franklin, a storyline that grounds the film in relatable human emotion. The cosmic threat arrives in the form of Galactus, the planet devourer, and his herald, the Silver Surfer, providing a fresh and more faithful antagonist for the team, elevating the stakes to an existential level rarely seen in a debut film. Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards is a standout, imbuing the genius with a palpable fierce dad energy, portraying him not as a cold intellectual, but as a man terrified of failing his unborn child. using his elastic powers as a metaphor for his inability to be everywhere and do everything at once. Vanessa Kirby's Sue Storm serves as the undeniable emotional core and matriarch, balancing her role as a powerful leader, heading the Humanitarian Future Foundation with the fierce vulnerability of a protective mother, making her one of the most formidable and nuanced characters in the modern MCU. Joseph Quinn's Johnny Storm brings the requisite hot-headed charm and comedic relief, while showing surprising intelligence and willingness for self-sacrifice, moving him beyond the simple womanizing hothead archetype of previous versions. Eben Moss-Bachrach's performance as Ben Grimm, The Thing, is widely considered the film's breakout, delivering soulful motion capture work and voice acting that captures the character's profound melancholy, loyalty, and subtle references to his Jewish-American identity, adding rich, unexpected authenticity. Ralph Inessen's Galactus brings a commanding, gravelly voice that lends terrifying authority to the cosmic giant, rendered as a massive, comic-accurate humanoid in armor, feeling more like an unstoppable force of nature than a conventional villain. The creative reinvention of the Silver Surfer, played by Julia Garner as Shallabal rather than Norrin Radd, is an inspired twist, creating a lithe, melancholic, and tragic figure whose chrome form and heraldic duty create a powerful visual and emotional impact. The unique dynamic between the Silver Surfer and Johnny Storm, with Johnny's instant, almost innocent crush on this cosmic being, adds a layer of unexpected pathos and human connection to a being who has come to herald Earth's destruction. The film's primary theme is family above all, with the narrative explicitly framing the Fantastic Four not just as a team of superheroes, but as parents, an uncle, and a child, reinforcing that protecting their family unit is a more profound force than any global or cosmic duty. Retrofuturism and unironic optimism permeate the film as a love letter to the Silver Age of comics, using its 1960s setting to evoke a time when the future was viewed with wonder and hope, a stark contrast to the often cynical tone of contemporary blockbusters. The profound theme of parenthood and sacrifice is driven by Sue's pregnancy, with Galactus's offer to spare Earth in exchange for the unborn Franklin Richards, placing the team in an impossible moral dilemma that forces them to define the true meaning of heroism. The technical craftsmanship shines through production design by Kasra Farahani, blending the aesthetic of the Jetsons with Mad Men to create a rich, immersive, and charming atmosphere visually distinct from anything else in the MCU. The visual effects demonstrate sophistication, especially in bringing the Thing and the Silver Surfer to life, with character work lauded for its expressiveness and tactile quality despite some climactic action sequences devolving into generic whirls of light. Michael Giacchino's inspirational score perfectly captures the optimistic swagger of the 1960s space age, providing an auditory landscape that complements the film's unique visual identity and emotional beats. The greatest strength lies in its faithful tone, capturing the sincere, adventurous, and slightly goofy spirit of the original Stan Lee and Jack Kirby comics, without resorting to irony or self-deprecation for the first time in cinematic history. The undeniable chemistry among the core cast makes Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, and Eben Moss-Bachrach feel like a believable, loving, and occasionally squabbling family, driving the emotional core and making the audience invest in their plight. The depiction of Galactus and the Silver Surfer represents a significant improvement over previous, less successful film versions, finally doing justice to Jack Kirby's grand vision by leaning into the cosmic and awe-inspiring nature of these characters. Acknowledged weaknesses include a lack of genuine tension, as the film primarily serves as a charming and foundational prologue for future installments, making the overall outcome often feel preordained and diminishing suspense. The plot is somewhat lightweight and inconsequential, with strong character work undermined by a storyline scene as a mere placeholder designed to set the stage for Avengers Doomsday rather than stand as a fully self-contained epic. The rushed third act abandons the film's unique retrofuturistic aesthetic in favor of more generic CGI battles, diffusing its own powerful moral dilemma far too easily. Establishing its separate universe, Earth 828, allows the story to exist within its own retro rules, free from the burden of established MCU continuity while holding the potential for future crossover. The subtitle First Steps deliberately indicates the film's purpose as not an ending but a beginning, designed to introduce this version of the characters and their world with the promise that their journey is just starting. Post-credits scenes reportedly set the stage for the team's inevitable arrival in the main MCU timeline, with a title card explicitly announcing their return in Avengers: Doomsday. The film represents a strategic masterstroke for Marvel Studios, focusing on character, tone, and distinct visual identity to successfully wash away lingering disappointment from previous adaptations and build a rock-solid foundation for the future. The 1960s setting functions not as a gimmick, but as a thematic statement, representing a longing for a more optimistic vision of the future when science and exploration were seen as unambiguously noble pursuits. The Future Foundation, Sue's humanitarian organization, extends her character by demonstrating that heroism isn't just about powers, but about actively building a better, more equitable world for the next generation. Reed's scientific curiosity serves as both his greatest asset and his central flaw, with his anxiety over Franklin stemming from his inability to solve parenthood with a formula, forcing him to confront a problem requiring emotional intelligence. The visual language of costumes and set design reflects character personalities, with sleek, modernist lines of the Baxter Building and stylish attire reinforcing their status as public intellectuals and celebrities. The subtle yet meaningful inclusion of Ben Grimm's Jewish heritage adds profound depth, framing his struggle with monstrous form within a context of faith, identity, and acceptance. The unique visual representation of the Silver Surfer's chrome surface extends beyond costume to become an extension of tragic state, a beautiful yet cold prison for a being forced to serve a cosmic destroyer. The film's handling of scale seamlessly transitions from intimate domestic moments to the incomprehensible vastness of Galactus, a being so large he dwarfs planets, without losing emotional grounding. The public's role creates a unique dynamic where heroes are beloved and trusted in their world, a stark contrast to the often contentious relationship between heroes and the public in other superhero narratives. The film's lightness, while a weakness for some seeking high-stakes drama, is also its charm, embracing whimsical source material as a refreshing palate cleanser from weighty, universe-ending threats. Sue giving birth during a space chase literalizes the theme of balancing motherhood with heroism, showing her as a warrior who must bring new life into the world while fighting to protect it. The team's decision to teleport Galactus away rather than destroy him reinforces their identity as scientists and explorers, prioritizing immediate safety over potentially futile attempts at outright victory. World building through small, telling details, from robot servant HRBI to square televisions and background fashion, fills every frame with elements reinforcing cohesive retrofuture aesthetic. Matt Shakman's direction focuses on performance and character moments, his experience with ensemble dynamics evident in how naturally the four leads interact, creating authentic familial bond. The vibrant, primary color palette of costumes and world pops against the cold, metallic sheen of Galactus and the Surfer, visually representing the clash between optimistic humanity and cold cosmic indifference. Julia Garner's casting as the Surfer, initially met with surprise, is vindicated as her portrayal of Shallabal brings a unique, tragic dimension separate from the comic book version of Norrin Radd. The film treats its source material with reverence but not slavish devotion, understanding the spirit of Lee and Kirby's work and adapting it into modern cinematic language. The film expands the multiverse in a visually and tonally distinct way, functioning as an origin story for an entire universe and its heroes, preparing the ground for multiversal conflict to come. Pedro Pascal uses his natural charisma to make Reed's intellectual obsession endearing, with dad energy making his journey from man of science to man of faith in Family the film's most compelling arc. Vanessa Kirby commands every scene with quiet strength, moral clarity, and unwavering determination to protect her family at any cost. Humor arises organically from character interactions, with Johnny's playful jabs at Ben, Reed's socially awkward explanations, and family bickering during crisis feeling like natural dynamics. Cutting-edge mocap and Moss Backrack's nuanced performance ensure Ben Grimm's humanity shines through layers of rock, making physical transformation a metaphor for his unshakable soul. Galactus's motivation transcends human evil, positioning him as a force of nature driven by insatiable hunger, his interest in Franklin elevating him from simple planet eater to being who covets cosmic power. The Silver Surfer's tragedy is central to emotional impact, with Shallabal as victim as much as villain, Garner conveying immense sorrow and conflict through performance. The moral dilemma of sacrificing your child to save the world forces both characters and audience to confront deepest values of parenthood and limits of self-sacrifice. The climax prioritizes cleverness over brute force, using Reed's intellect to outsmart rather than overpower Galactus, a solution true to the characters. Retrofuturism functions as philosophical statement, asking audiences to consider a version of the 1960s that fulfilled its promise of gleaming, high-tech future, offering hopeful escapism. Strong supporting cast and world-building elements, from HERBIE to Baxter building design and public adoration, contribute to fully realized alternate reality. The film avoids dark and gritty reboot trends, embracing inherent optimism and adventure of source material, proving brightness and sincerity can be compelling. Franklin Richards functions as more than baby, embodying the future, hope, and legacy the Fantastic Four are building, making him ultimate prize for cosmic force like Galactus. By skipping origin story, the film trusts audiences to be swept up in the world, allowing plot momentum from the very first frame. The critical divide between those finding it lightweight and those reveling in fidelity highlights the challenge of adapting beloved material, where capturing right feeling matters as much as tight plot. Michael Giacchino's score functions as character itself, swelling with optimism, underlining tragedy, and adding swashbuckling adventure to family exploits. Johnny's flames are rendered with vibrant, dangerous heat, Quinn's performance capturing thrill and responsibility of transforming into living energy. Quiet character moments amidst cosmic spectacle ensure audience investment in people behind the powers. Sue Storm finally receives her due as leader, powerful strategist, protector, and emotional anchor holding family and team together. Reed's elasticity serves as visual metaphor for characters stretched thin, trying to solve every problem, protect everyone, and be present for family. The title First Steps refers both to literal first steps of baby Franklin and metaphorical first steps of this new team into larger, more dangerous universe. The Silver Surfer functions as brilliant narrative tool, her arrival creating ticking clock and tangible, tragic face for impending doom. Production design attention to detail makes retro technology functional and believable, from clunky computers to sleek Fantasticar lines. The ultimate message that the greatest adventure is building and protecting family elevates the film beyond standard superhero origin. The film's flaws as franchise starter are often byproducts of function, so focused on establishing world and characters that present story urgency sometimes suffers. Reed and Sue's relationship portrays mature, equal partnership with complementary strengths and weaknesses forming stable foundation. Ben Grimm's tragedy as man trapped in monstrous form, yet most human of the group, is never forgotten, personal cost acknowledged even as power serves good. By introducing whole new universe with distinct flavor, the film expands narrative canvas, suggesting endless possibilities for future stories. The film's willingness to be weird, from cosmic grandeur to specific retro details, embraces comic idiosyncrasy, creating authentically Kirby-inspired vision. Joseph Quinn imbues Johnny Storm with surprising depth, his connection with the Surfer showing empathy transcending youthful bravado. The bargain with Galactus transforms cosmic invasion into tense family drama about sacrifice and protection. Confident and cohesive vision from director to cast to design team creates faithful, fun, and visually stunning introduction. After several failed attempts by other studios, Marvel Studios delivers version true to comic book origins in both spirit and style. Emotional authenticity grounds fantastic abilities in real emotions, connecting audiences with characters on human level. The alternate universe setting creates stakes for wider MCU, while keeping Earth 828 safe, setting stage for threat to spill over. Heroism as family business sets Fantastic Four apart, their strength coming from unwavering love and support. The film succeeds in its primary mission to make audiences fall in love with these characters, providing charming, visually stunning foundation. As the starting point for Marvel's first family within the MCU, the journey ahead promises heart, humor, and spectacular cosmic adventure. The Fantastic Four, First Steps 2025, presents a fascinating case study in how superhero cinema can balance fidelity to source material with the demands of modern franchise filmmaking. As director Matt Shakman and his creative team have constructed a world that feels simultaneously like a loving preservation of 1960s comic book aesthetics and a forward-looking expansion of the MCU's multiversal narrative framework. The film's decision to set its story on Earth 828, a pocket universe trapped in a perpetual retrofuturistic 1960s, allows the production to explore themes of temporal dislocation and cultural optimism that would be impossible within the constraints of the main MCU timeline, creating a visually coherent world where flying cars coexist with analog technology and space-age fashion reflects an era's unshakable belief in tomorrow. Pedro Pascal's interpretation of Reed Richards delves deeply into the psychological burden of genius, portraying a man whose intellectual capabilities have always provided solutions to every problem until confronted with the fundamentally unsolvable mystery of fatherhood, forcing him to confront the limitations of his elastic mind when stretched between scientific certainty and emotional vulnerability. Vanessa Kirby elevates Sue Storm beyond the traditional confines of the Invisible Woman by emphasizing her character's role as the team's moral compass and strategic architect, demonstrating through subtle performance choices that Sue's true power lies not in her ability to generate force fields, but in her capacity to create protective boundaries for her family while remaining emotionally accessible to those she loves. Joseph Quinn's Johnny Storm benefits from a screenplay that understands the Human Torch as more than just comic relief, revealing through carefully placed character moments a young man who uses humor as armor against the existential weight of his cosmic abilities and the responsibility that comes with being the youngest member of Earth's most famous family. Eben Moss-Bachrach delivers what may be the most technically accomplished motion capture performance in recent memory, finding ways to convey Ben Grimm's Jewish heritage, working-class sensibilities, and profound loneliness through subtle vocal inflections and physical mannerisms that transcend the digital rock exterior to reveal the soul of a man who has lost his humanity while paradoxically becoming more human than ever before. Ralph Inessen's vocal performance as Gallicus taps into something primordial and terrifying, his gravelly tones suggesting an entity so ancient and vast that human concepts of morality and motivation become meaningless when applied to a being who has consumed countless worlds and will consume countless more regardless of the puny efforts of those who oppose him. Julia Garner's radical reimagining of the Silver Surfer as Shallabal rather than Norrin Radd opens up entirely new dramatic possibilities for the character, allowing the film to explore themes of female sacrifice and cosmic servitude through a lens that feels fresh while maintaining the tragic dignity that has always defined the Surfer in comic book mythology. The relationship between Johnny Storm and the Silver Surfer represents one of the film's most inspired creative choices, using Johnny's instant, almost naive attraction to this chrome-skinned harbinger of doom as a mechanism to explore how genuine human connection can pierce even the most formidable emotional armor, suggesting that empathy might be the most powerful force in the universe. Michael Giacchino's score deserves special attention for its ability to weave together multiple musical traditions, combining the swaggering brass of 1960s space-age pop with the sweeping romanticism of classic Hollywood scores and the electronic experimentation of futuristic soundscapes, creating an auditory experience that mirrors the film's visual fusion of past and future. The production design team, led by Kasra Farahani, has created perhaps the most fully realized alternate reality in modern cinema, populating every frame with carefully curated details that tell their own stories, from the geometric patterns on civilian clothing to the specific curvature of automobile fins, building a world that feels lived in rather than merely constructed for the camera. Matt Shakman's direction demonstrates the lessons learned from WandaVision about how to balance sitcom-style domesticity with cosmic horror, moving seamlessly between intimate family dinners in the Baxter Building's retro kitchen and vast celestial battles where planets hang in precarious balance, always maintaining emotional continuity across these wildly different registers. The screenplay's decision to begin the story 4 years after the team's transformation proves brilliantly economical, allowing the film to skip the tedious business of radiation exposure and power discovery in favor of exploring how these characters have grown into their abilities and their public roles as Earth's foremost celebrity scientists. Sue Storm's future foundation functions as more than just window dressing for her character, representing a genuine commitment to using the team's resources and influence to address global challenges before they become catastrophic, positioning the Fantastic Four as proactive problem solvers rather than reactive crisis managers. Reed Richards' anxiety about fatherhood manifests in his obsessive documentation of Franklin's development, filling laboratory notebooks with projections and calculations that attempt to quantify the unquantifiable, a poignant illustration of how scientific minds struggle when confronted with life's beautiful mysteries. The visual effects team faced the formidable challenge of rendering Galactus as Jack Kirby originally imagined him, a mechanical colossus whose very existence challenges human perception, and they have succeeded in creating a being whose scale is communicated through careful framing and environmental interaction rather than the lazy shorthand of size comparison shots. Ben Grimm's relationship with his own body emerges as one of the film's most nuanced thematic threads, exploring how physical transformation affects self-image, intimacy, and one's place in the world, with Moss Backrack finding moments of surprising humor and heartbreaking vulnerability in the thing's rocky exterior. The film's treatment of the 1960s setting avoids the trap of mere nostalgia by acknowledging the era's complexities while celebrating its aesthetic achievements, creating a world that feels aspirational rather than regressive, a future that never was but perhaps should have been. Johnny Storm's instant connection with the Silver Surfer serves a deeper narrative purpose beyond character development, establishing that the Surfer's tragedy is accessible to human understanding and that Galactus's herald may be capable of redemption through genuine emotional connection. The climactic sequence in which Sue gives birth during a space chase represents a bold narrative gambit that pays off spectacularly, literalizing the theme of new life emerging amidst cosmic death, while demonstrating that Sue's maternal power is neither diminished nor secondary to her superhuman abilities. Reed's solution to the Galactus threat, teleportation rather than destruction, reflects a philosophical position that distinguishes the Fantastic Four from other superhero teams, prioritizing preservation and cleverness over the violent resolution that has become standard in the genre. The post-credits scenes teasing the team's eventual arrival in the main MCU timeline have been crafted with care to avoid undermining the satisfying conclusion of this standalone story, while generating genuine excitement for future crossovers. Franklin Richards functions symbolically as the embodiment of hope and continuity, his unborn presence throughout the film serving as a constant reminder that the Fantastic Four's legacy extends beyond their individual heroics into the next generation of Marvel's first family. The film's color palette, dominated by primary colors against metallic surfaces, creates a visual language that separates the warmth of human connection from the coldness of cosmic indifference, with Sue's force fields glowing with golden light while Galactus's armor reflects the sterile void of space. HRBI the robot represents a successful translation of a sometimes maligned comic book creation into a charming cinematic presence, his design echoing the retro-futuristic aesthetic while his personality provides comic relief without descending into annoying sidekick territory. The Baxter building itself emerges as a character in its own right, its architecture reflecting the optimism of its era, while its interior spaces reveal the personalities of its inhabitants, from Reed's cluttered laboratory to Sue's carefully curated living areas. Vanessa Kirby's performance captures Sue's evolution from reluctant celebrity to empowered leader, showing through small physical choices how her character grows into her authority while maintaining the warmth that makes her the team's emotional center. Pedro Pascal brings unexpected vulnerability to Reed Richards, finding moments of uncertainty and fear beneath the confident scientist exterior, reminding audiences that genius does not immunize one against the universal anxieties of impending parenthood. The Silver Surfer's chrome surface reflects not just light, but the emotional states of those who interact with her, a subtle visual effect that reinforces the character's role as a mirror for human compassion and cosmic tragedy. Johnny Storm's arc from reckless youth to responsible hero unfolds organically through his interactions with the Surfer, suggesting that genuine growth comes not from lectures or training, but from authentic emotional experiences that challenge existing worldviews. Ben Grimm's Jewish identity receives sensitive treatment through moments that feel organic rather than performative, including a quietly powerful scene where he recites a prayer in Aramaic while contemplating his transformed reflection. Galactus's motivation transcends simple hunger when he senses Franklin's potential, introducing the chilling possibility that cosmic entities might have purposes beyond their obvious functions, that they might seek to acquire power rather than merely consume it. The film's pacing allows for extended sequences of character interaction that would feel indulgent in a lesser production, trusting audiences to invest in domestic drama alongside cosmic spectacle because the filmmakers understand that emotional stakes must precede physical ones. Sue's protective instincts manifest not just in her force fields, but in her strategic decisions throughout the film, demonstrating that true protection requires foresight and planning rather than merely reactive defense. Reed's scientific method fails him when confronted with Galactus's offer, revealing the limitations of empirical thinking when faced with moral questions that have no correct answer, only choices with consequences. The visual design of the Fantastic Car honors its comic book origins while making practical sense within the film's retrofuturistic world, its modular design suggesting the team's adaptability and Reed's engineering genius. Johnny's flirtatious nature becomes a genuine asset rather than a character flaw when directed toward the Silver Surfer, his openness to connection serving as the bridge between humanity and cosmic tragedy. Ben's loyalty to his found family manifests in quiet acts of protection throughout the film, his physical strength secondary to his emotional commitment to those who see past his rocky exterior to the man within. The film's treatment of pregnancy avoids the narrative convenience that often plagues such storylines, treating Sue's condition with respect for its physical and emotional reality while integrating it meaningfully into the plot. Galactus's arrival sequence builds tension through suggestion and implication rather than immediate destruction, allowing audiences to comprehend his scale through the reactions of characters rather than through explicit visual information. The surfer's tragic backstory as Shallowball emerges through carefully placed revelations rather than expository monologues, trusting audiences to piece together her history from emotional cues and visual storytelling. Reed's elastic powers receive creative application throughout the film, serving problem-solving functions rather than merely combat purposes, reinforcing his identity as a scientist first and superhero second. Sue's invisibility functions metaphorically throughout the narrative, representing the ways women's contributions are often overlooked while simultaneously demonstrating that unseen power can be the most formidable kind. The film's conclusion deliberately avoids defeating Galactus in any permanent sense, acknowledging that some threats cannot be eliminated but only delayed, preparing audiences for the character's inevitable return in future installments. Production design details reward repeated viewings, with background elements telling their own stories about life on Earth. 828, from newspaper headlines to television broadcasts that expand the world beyond the central narrative. Matt Shakman's direction maintains visual coherence across wildly different registers, ensuring that intimate conversations and cosmic battles share a consistent visual language that prevents tonal whiplash. The screenplay's structure allows each character a moment of individual heroism that reflects their personality, ensuring that the ensemble nature of the Fantastic Four feels genuine rather than forced. Michael Giacchino's score contains subtle thematic variations that track character development throughout the film, with motifs evolving as relationships change and stakes escalate. The visual effects team's work on The Thing represents a significant technical achievement, creating a character whose rock exterior conveys emotion through texture and movement rather than conventional facial expression. Johnny's relationship with the surfer avoids the trap of romantic cliché by remaining ambiguous and open-ended, suggesting that meaningful connections need not fit conventional categories to be genuine. Ben's scenes of quiet contemplation provide necessary breathing room between action sequences, reminding audiences that heroism includes moments of doubt and reflection. The film's treatment of scientific ethics explores questions that resonate beyond the narrative, examining how knowledge and power create moral obligations that cannot be ignored. Sue's leadership style emphasizes collaboration over command, demonstrating that true authority comes from earning respect rather than demanding obedience. Reed's parental anxiety manifests in his treatment of the team as well as his unborn child, his protective instincts extending to all those he considers family. Galactus's visual design incorporates elements that suggest his ancient origins, with armor patterns evoking civilizations long since consumed by his hunger. The surfer's eventual fate remains ambiguous, allowing for multiple interpretive possibilities that will be explored in future installments while providing emotional closure for this chapter. Production design choices extend to the film's typography and graphic design, with every on-screen text element reflecting the retrofuturistic aesthetic in ways that deepen immersion. The film's humor arises from character rather than situation, with jokes emerging organically from personality conflicts and genuine interactions rather than manufactured comic relief. Sue's relationship with her brother Johnny reveals the maternal aspects of her personality even before her pregnancy, establishing that her protective nature predates her role as a mother. Reed's intellectual humility grows throughout the film as he accepts that some problems have no scientific solutions, only human ones. Ben's physical transformation serves as external manifestation of internal reality, his rocky exterior representing the emotional armor he has built since becoming the Thing. The film's treatment of fame and celebrity within Earth. 828 provides commentary on our own relationship with public figures, suggesting that hero worship can be both validating and isolating. Johnny's character growth culminates in a moment of genuine sacrifice that feels earned because his earlier behavior has established him as capable of selfishness and growth alike. Sue's force fields receive increasingly sophisticated application as the film progresses, her control over her powers mirroring her growing confidence as a leader and mother. Galactus's offer regarding Franklin introduces theological dimensions to the narrative, suggesting that cosmic entities might have purposes beyond simple consumption. The surfer's chrome surface occasionally reveals glimpses of Shallowball beneath, visual effects choices that hint at the person trapped within the Herald's form. Reed's elastic abilities sometimes fail him at crucial moments, physical manifestations of his emotional uncertainty that reinforce the connection between his powers and his psychological state. The film's supporting cast, including figures from the Future Foundation and various scientific colleagues, populate Earth. 828 with characters who feel fully realized rather than merely functional. Production design creates distinct environments for each character, from Johnny's bachelor pad to Ben's Spartan quarters, spaces that reveal personality through their contents and arrangement. Matt Shakman's background in television serves the film well in its ensemble scenes, where blocking and framing ensure that each character remains present even when not speaking. The screenplay's dialogue avoids exposition in favor of character revelation, with information emerging through conflict and interaction rather than explanatory speeches. Michael Giacchino's use of theremin in key scenes evokes the science fiction films of the 1950s while feeling fresh and contemporary, bridging past and future through sound. Visual effects work on the Human Torch emphasizes the beautiful and terrifying aspects of his powers, flames that illuminate and destroy in equal measure. Johnny's instant crush on the surfer opens him to vulnerability in ways his bravado usually prevents, suggesting that genuine emotion can bypass even the most carefully constructed defenses. Ben's Jewish identity informs his understanding of suffering and survival, his people's history providing context for his personal tragedy that enriches rather than explains it. The film's treatment of cosmic horror avoids nihilism by grounding existential threat in personal stakes, ensuring that audiences remain invested in human outcomes, even as galaxies hang in balance. Sue's pregnancy becomes a source of power rather than vulnerability, her maternal instincts sharpening her strategic thinking rather than compromising it. Reed's final solution to the Galactus threat reflects his growth as a character, prioritizing preservation over pride and acknowledging that some victories consist of survival rather than triumph. The film's visual language consistently reinforces its themes, with framing and composition choices that emphasize connection and separation, family and isolation, hope and despair. Earth, 828 feels like a fully realized world with its own history and culture, suggesting stories beyond those shown on screen and inviting audiences to imagine life in this retro future. The Fantastic Four emerge from this film not just as heroes but as a family, their bonds tested and strengthened by challenges that would destroy lesser teams. Galactus departs Earth. 828 not defeated but merely displaced, his hunger unchanged and his eventual return inevitable, a promise of future conflict that feels earned rather than manufactured. The Silver Surfer's fate remains connected to Johnny in ways that future films will explore, their brief connection planting seeds for stories yet to come. The Fantastic Four. First Steps establishes its narrative foundation on the principle that true heroism emerges not from the acquisition of extraordinary abilities, but from the choices made when those abilities prove insufficient, forcing Reed Richards to confront the uncomfortable truth that his intellect cannot protect his family from every threat, and that some battles require surrendering control rather than exercising it. Pedro Pascal's performance as Reed Richards gains considerable depth from his willingness to portray the character's intellectual arrogance not as a villainous trait, but as a genuine flaw that stems from genuine ability, creating a protagonist whose greatest strength becomes his greatest weakness when confronted with problems that resist scientific solution. Vanessa Kirby transforms Sue Storm into a character whose invisibility serves as a profound metaphor for the unrecognized labor that holds families and teams together, her powers allowing her to work unseen while her influence shapes every outcome. A quiet commentary on how often the most essential contributions go unnoticed by those who benefit from them. Joseph Quinn's Johnny Storm benefits enormously from the screenplay's decision to make his emotional intelligence as significant as his fiery powers, revealing a young man who uses his apparently superficial charm as a tool for reading people and situations, gathering information that more obviously intellectual characters miss entirely. Eben Moss-Bachrach's motion capture work as Ben Grimm represents a technical achievement that serves artistic ends, his performance finding ways to convey emotion through the subtle shift of rocky features and the particular weight of a transformed body moving through spaces never designed for its new proportions. The relationship between Sue Storm and Ben Grimm emerges as one of the film's most touching dynamics, their mutual recognition of each other's sacrifices creating a bond that requires few words. Two people who understand what it costs to maintain humanity when the world sees only powers and surfaces. Reed's laboratory sequences reveal a man most comfortable when surrounded by measurable phenomena, his scientific instruments providing the certainty that human relationships cannot offer. Yet his growing attachment to Sue and their unborn child forces him to accept that the most important things in life resist quantification. The film's treatment of the Baxter Building as both home and headquarters creates a unique spatial dynamic where domestic intimacy coexists with scientific endeavor. Personal spaces opening onto laboratories and living quarters connected to launch bays, a physical manifestation of the team's inability to separate their private and public lives. Galactus's visual design draws not only from Jack Kirby's original conceptions, but from centuries of artistic attempts to represent the sublime. His scale and presence evoking the terror and awe that humans have always felt when confronted with forces beyond their comprehension. Julia Garner's Silver Surfer communicates volumes through posture and movement alone, her chrome form expressing centuries of sorrow through the particular angle of her head and the weight of her glide through Earth's atmosphere, a performance that transcends the limitations of its physical medium. The film's color grading deserves special mention for its ability to shift emotional registers without announcing the transition. The warm amber tones of domestic scenes gradually cooling as cosmic threats approach, then warming again as family bonds reassert their primacy over external dangers. Matt Shakman's direction of action sequences prioritizes character revelation over spectacle, ensuring that each fight or chase reveals something new about the participants rather than merely advancing the plot or providing sensory stimulation. The screenplay's structure allows for multiple viewing experiences, functioning on first watch as a straightforward superhero narrative while revealing deeper thematic complexity on subsequent viewings. When audiences can attend more closely to character dynamics and symbolic resonance, Sue's pregnancy becomes a narrative engine that drives character development for the entire team, forcing each member to confront what family means to them and what they would sacrifice to protect something larger than themselves. Reed's obsession with monitoring Franklin's development through increasingly elaborate technological means reveals his fundamental discomfort with uncertainty. His attempts to measure and predict his child's future representing a futile attempt to control what cannot be controlled. Ben Grimm's scenes of solitary contemplation, often set against the New York skyline visible from his quarters, provide necessary emotional grounding for a film that could easily become lost in its own cosmic ambitions, reminding audiences that heroism begins with private struggles. Johnny's relationship with the Silver Surfer develops through a series of wordless exchanges that prove more eloquent than any dialogue could be, their connection transcending language to suggest that genuine understanding operates beneath and beyond verbal communication. The film's treatment of 1960s aesthetics extends beyond visual design into behavioral patterns and social expectations, creating a world where gender roles and cultural norms reflect the era, while allowing its characters to quietly transcend limitations that constrain their real-world counterparts. HERBIE's design incorporates elements that suggest both the optimistic robotics of the era and the limitations of 1960s technology, his square head and mechanical movements evoking a time when computers occupied entire rooms and artificial intelligence meant something far simpler than modern audiences might expect. The Fantastic Car's deployment in action sequences demonstrates the film's commitment to practical problem-solving over deus ex machina solutions, its modular design allowing for creative applications that reflect Reed's engineering genius rather than magical thinking. Sue's force fields receive increasingly sophisticated visual treatment as the film progresses, their geometric patterns and energy signatures evolving to reflect her growing mastery and emotional state, transparent barriers that simultaneously protect and reveal Galactus's dialogue, delivered in Ralph Inessen's Gravely Register, consists largely of statements that sound like observations rather than threats. His perspective so vast that human concepts of menace and mercy simply do not apply to. His cosmic calculations. The film's sound design creates distinct auditory landscapes for Earth. 828, from the hum of flying cars to the particular echo of the Baxter Building's corridors, building a sonic world as detailed and immersive as its visual counterpart. Reed's elastic powers receive creative application in moments of quiet domesticity as well as action. His ability to stretch serving mundane purposes that reveal how thoroughly he has integrated his abilities into daily existence. Vanessa Kirby's performance captures Sue's evolution from reluctant participant in the team's adventures to active shaper of their mission. Her character finding purpose in protection that transforms her from reactive to proactive without losing the warmth that makes her accessible. Joseph Quinn's comic timing in Johnny's lighter moments never undermines the character's genuine intelligence, his humor serving as social lubrication rather than intellectual limitation, a tool for putting others at ease while his mind continues working beneath the surface. Eben Moss-Bachrach's vocal performance as Ben Grimm finds unexpected registers of emotion, his voice cracking with vulnerability at moments when his rocky exterior might suggest emotional imperviousness, reminding audiences that transformation affects everything, including the sound of a man's voice. The film's treatment of scientific ethics extends beyond Reed's personal journey to encompass the team's public role, their celebrity status raising questions about responsibility that the narrative refuses to answer simply. Matt Shakman's background in theater informs his approach to ensemble scenes, his blocking ensuring that silent characters remain present and responsive even when focus rests elsewhere, creating the impression of genuine interaction rather than staged dialogue. Michael Giacchino's score incorporates leitmotifs that track character relationships as they evolve, thematic material associated with Sue and Reed intertwining as their connection deepens, Johnny's theme gradually absorbing elements of the surfer's music as their bond forms. Production designer Kasra Farahani has filled Earth 828 with visual jokes and hidden details that reward attentive viewing, background elements that comment on the action or expand the world without demanding attention that would distract from foreground narrative. The film's approach to exposition trusts audiences to understand character relationships and world rules through observation rather than explanation, a confidence in viewer intelligence that distinguishes it from more didactic superhero fare. Sue's leadership style emerges through choices rather than declarations, her decisions revealing a strategic mind that considers long-term consequences while remaining flexible enough to adapt when circumstances change unexpectedly. Reed's scientific method proves inadequate when confronted with Galactus's offer regarding Franklin, his analytical framework providing no guidance for a choice that has no correct answer, only consequences that must be lived with rather than calculated. Ben Grimm's Jewish identity informs his response to physical transformation in ways that resonate with Jewish theological traditions regarding the relationship between body and soul, his struggle to accept his new form echoing ancient questions about what constitutes authentic identity. Johnny's instant connection with the Silver Surfer suggests that genuine emotional recognition operates independently of logic or self-interest, his heart recognizing something in this cosmic being that his mind cannot yet comprehend. The film's treatment of cosmic scale never loses sight of human perspective, framing Galactus's vastness through character reactions that make his size comprehensible through emotional rather than mathematical means. Sue's pregnancy sequences avoid the narrative convenience that often characterizes such storylines, treating her condition with respect for its physical demands while integrating it meaningfully into the plot rather than using it merely as motivational shorthand. Reed's laboratory contains evidence of failed experiments and abandoned projects, visual reminders that even genius encounters limitations and that progress requires accepting failure as part of the process rather than evidence of inadequacy. The Silver Surfer's chrome surface occasionally reveals ghostly images of Shallowball beneath, visual effects choices that suggest the person trapped within the Herald's form fighting to maintain identity against cosmic erasure. Matt Shakman's direction of the birth sequence during the space chase represents a remarkable balancing act, maintaining tension and spectacle while never losing sight of the scene's profound emotional stakes and human vulnerability. Ben Grimm's physical transformation affects his relationship with spaces designed for human proportions, the film's production design incorporating doorways and furniture that accommodate his size while reminding audiences of his separation from ordinary experience. Johnny's character arc reaches its climax in a moment of genuine sacrifice that feels earned precisely because his earlier behavior has established him as someone capable of growth, his evolution from self-absorption to selflessness tracing a believable trajectory. Sue's force fields become increasingly complex as the film progresses, their geometric patterns suggesting growing mastery, while their deployment reveals strategic thinking that considers multiple variables simultaneously. Galactus's departure from Earth, 828 leaves behind questions that will presumably be addressed in future installments, his interest in Franklin suggesting that this confrontation represents beginning rather than end of their cosmic conflict. The film's post-credit sequences teasing future MCU crossovers have been crafted with care to avoid undermining this story's conclusion while generating legitimate excitement for what follows, a balance that franchise filmmaking rarely achieves. Earth, 828 feels sufficiently realized to support future stories within its own context, the world-building suggesting adventures beyond those depicted, while leaving room for audience imagination to fill in details the production could not include. The Fantastic Four emerge from this narrative as characters whose relationships will continue to evolve, their first steps together suggesting a journey whose destination remains uncertain, but whose direction feels true to everything audiences have learned about them. Reed's final acceptance that some problems have no scientific solutions represents genuine character growth, his intellectual humility expanding to encompass mysteries that resist quantification and control. Sue's transformation from reluctant celebrity to confident leader completes an arc that feels organic because her growth occurs through accumulated experience rather than single transformative moments. Ben Grimm's acceptance of his transformed body, while never complete, allows him to find purpose in protecting others who cannot protect themselves, his physical form becoming instrument of service rather than source of shame. Johnny's connection with the Silver Surfer, however brief, has changed him in ways that will manifest in future stories, his exposure to genuine tragedy tempering youthful bravado with earned wisdom. Galactus and the Silver Surfer have finally received cinematic treatment worthy of their comic book origins, their cosmic tragedy rendered with visual ambition and emotional intelligence that previous adaptations could not achieve. Franklin Richards enters the world at film's end carrying narrative weight that future installments will explore, his existence already having shaped his parents' choices and the team's destiny before his first breath. The film's title proves apt, these first steps leading toward adventures that audiences will eagerly anticipate, a beginning that feels complete enough to satisfy while remaining open enough to invite continuation. Earth, 828 stands ready for further exploration, its retro future offering storytelling possibilities that distinguish it from the main MCU timeline while remaining connected through multiversal threads that will eventually draw these worlds together. The Fantastic Four have finally found cinematic life worthy of their comic book legacy, their first steps uncertain but their direction clear, a family learning to be heroes and heroes learning to be family in a universe that needs both. Matt Shakman and his collaborators have created something rare in contemporary franchise filmmaking, a movie that serves as both satisfying standalone narrative and promising franchise foundation, each function supporting rather than undermining the other. The film's success suggests that audiences remain hungry for superhero stories that prioritize character and relationship over spectacle and continuity, that the genre's future lies in emotional authenticity rather than ever-escalating cosmic stakes. Reed Richards learns what Sue has always known, that protection means more than preventing harm, that creating safe space for growth and discovery matters as much as defending against threats. Sue Storm demonstrates throughout the film that true power manifests in choices rather than abilities, her decisions shaping outcomes as surely as any force field or invisible approach. Ben Grimm proves that humanity survives any transformation, that identity resides in choices rather than appearance, that the soul remains itself regardless of the body it inhabits. Johnny Storm discovers that genuine connection requires vulnerability, that the armor of charm and humor must occasionally lower to allow others access to the person beneath. Galactus moves on to other worlds, other meals, his encounter with Earth, 828 leaving traces that will draw him back when cosmic calculations next require his attention. The Silver Surfer's fate remains uncertain, her connection to Johnny suggesting possibilities that future stories may explore, her tragedy finding momentary relief in human recognition. Franklin Richards sleeps in his mother's arms as credits roll, unaware of the cosmic significance his birth holds, innocent of the conflicts his existence will shape, simply a child beloved by family that will protect him from all threats, including those that come from loving him too much. The Fantastic Four. First Steps concludes not with triumph but with continuation, not with victory but with survival, not with ending but with beginning, first steps taken toward a future whose shape remains unknown but whose direction feels true. Audiences leave the theater carrying memories of characters who feel like people rather than products, relationships that resonate beyond the screen. A world that invites return visits, not because franchise logic demands them, but because genuine affection makes them welcome. The film stands as evidence that superhero cinema can evolve beyond its origins, that commercial requirements need not preclude artistic ambition, that stories about people with powers remain compelling when they remember that the people matter more than the powers. Matt Shakman has directed a film that works on multiple levels, providing surface satisfaction for casual viewers while offering depth that rewards attention. A rare achievement in any genre, but particularly in franchise filmmaking. The Fantastic Four have finally found their cinematic home, Earth. 828 awaiting their return. Their adventures only beginning. Their first steps taken together into a future bright with possibility and shadowed by threats that will test everything they have become. Reed's laboratory lights burn late into the night, new problems demanding solutions, new threats requiring preparation, new questions seeking answers that may or may not exist. Sue's force fields shimmer over the city, protective barriers that shield without confining, boundaries that define without limiting, the invisible woman making visible her commitment to those she loves. Ben Grimm walks the city streets at dawn, his rocky form casting long shadows in early light, a man learning to inhabit his transformation rather than merely endure it. Johnny Storm races the sunrise, his flames competing with solar fire. A young man who has learned that burning bright means nothing without warmth to share. The Baxter Building stands against the sky, its retro-future silhouette promising adventures yet to come, stories yet to tell, first steps leading toward destinations unknown but eagerly anticipated. Earth, 828 rotates through space, one world among countless others, its inhabitants unaware of the cosmic forces that circle their existence, protected by four people who chose each other before they chose heroism. Galactus drifts through void, his hunger eternal, his purpose inexorable, his eventual return as certain as the turning of cosmic wheels that grind worlds to sustenance. The Silver Surfer glides between stars, her chrome surface reflecting distant suns, her thoughts returning occasionally to a blue world where a boy with flames saw past her purpose to her person. Franklin Richards opens his eyes to morning light, his first steps already taken, his future unwritten, his existence the answer to questions his parents dared not ask about what matters most. The Fantastic Four. First Steps has laid foundation for stories that will span years and screens, its characters established, its world built, its themes articulated, its purpose fulfilled as beginning rather than end. Audiences who have waited decades for this cinematic treatment finally receive what they sought. A Fantastic Four film that understands its source material while transcending its limitations, that honors its origins while finding contemporary relevance. The film's achievements will influence superhero cinema for years to come. Its emphasis on character over continuity, its trust in audience intelligence, its willingness to be sincere in an ironic age. Matt Shakman's direction provides template for franchise filmmaking that serves story rather than being served by it. His visual choices always motivated by character and theme rather than merely commercial calculation. The cast's performances establish benchmarks for superhero acting, their work grounded in emotional truth that survives the digital effects and cosmic spectacle surrounding them. Michael Giacchino's score joins the ranks of truly memorable superhero music, its themes lodged in memory long after credits roll, its emotional resonance surviving repeated listening. Production design that seemed merely decorative reveals itself as essential storytelling, every visual choice contributing to world-building that makes Earth, 828 feel real enough to visit. The film's success at box office and with critics suggests that audiences crave exactly what it offers: superhero stories that remember to be human, cosmic adventures that ground themselves in family, spectacle that serves rather than substitutes for character. Reed Richards continues his research, new questions emerging from answers found, scientific method applied to mysteries that resist solution, a genius learning that some problems require not solution but acceptance. Sue Storm expands the Future Foundation's mission, her vision of protection encompassing global challenges as well as cosmic threats, proactive problem-solving preventing crises before they require reactive heroism. Ben Grimm finds peace not in transformation reversed but in purpose discovered, his rocky form becoming familiar rather than foreign, his identity confirmed by those who see past surface to soul beneath. Johnny Storm matures into responsibility without losing joy, his flames burning as bright but burning with purpose now, heat that warms rather than merely illuminates. The Fantastic Four await whatever comes next, their first steps taken, their direction clear, their commitment to each other tested and proven, their future unwritten but their foundation secure. Earth 828 continues its retrofuture existence, flying cars tracing patterns against skies where Galactus once loomed, its citizens mostly unaware of how close they came to consumption, how thoroughly four people changed their world by refusing to sacrifice its future for its present. Galactus moves through void, his hunger eternal, his memory of Franklin Richards persistent, cosmic calculations suggesting that this particular world may warrant return when circumstances align with his purposes. The Silver Surfer travels between worlds, her chrome surface occasionally brightening with memory of flames and laughter, her tragic existence briefly illuminated by connection that transcended her function. Franklin grows, his first steps behind him, his future before him, his parents watching with love that terrifies because it makes them vulnerable and empowers because it gives them something worth any sacrifice. The Fantastic Four. First Step stands as achievement that will reward revisiting, its layers revealing themselves across multiple viewings, its pleasures deepening with familiarity, its themes resonating more strongly with each return. Matt Shakman has directed a film that works as entertainment and art simultaneously, its ambitions encompassing both commercial requirements and creative aspirations, each supporting rather than undermining the other. The cast has created characters who will define these roles for a generation, their performances establishing templates that future interpretations will inevitably reference and respond to. Michael Giacchino has composed music that enhances every scene without demanding attention, his score supporting narrative while maintaining independent integrity that rewards separate listening. Production design has created world that invites exploration, its details promising discoveries that reward attention, its coherence suggesting reality beyond what camera captures. The film's themes of family, sacrifice, and protection resonate beyond genre boundaries, their human relevance surviving cosmic context, their emotional truth independent of superpowers and alien threats. Reed's journey from certainty to humility provides model of growth that applies to any context, his recognition that some things cannot be controlled representing wisdom applicable far beyond Baxter building walls. Sue's emergence as leader demonstrates that authority earned through competence and care proves more durable than power claimed through assertion or inheritance, her influence growing because she deserves it rather than demanding it. Ben's acceptance of transformation suggests that identity survives any external change, that who we are resides in choices rather than appearance, that soul persists regardless of body's form. Johnny's maturation proves that growth need not sacrifice joy, that responsibility and pleasure can coexist, that becoming adult means adding depth rather than subtracting brightness. Franklin's birth represents hope that justifies any sacrifice, future worth any present cost, possibility worth any protection, love worth any loss. Galactus's departure promises return, his cosmic purposes ensuring that Earth 828 will see him again, his hunger eternal, his interest in Franklin ensuring that this story continues. The Silver Surfer's fate remains open, her connection to Johnny suggesting possibilities that future installments may explore, her tragedy finding resolution that remains unwritten. Earth 828 awaits its hero's next adventure, its retro future providing setting for stories that could go anywhere, its aesthetic promising visual pleasures that distinguish it from every other cinematic world. The Fantastic Four have taken their first steps, the journey begun, the destination unknown, the path ahead uncertain but the direction clear, family first and heroes second, together facing whatever comes next. Matt Shakman's achievement will influence how superhero films approach character and world building for years to come, his emphasis on emotional truth providing template that others will follow. The film's success at capturing Lee and Kirby's spirit while finding contemporary relevance suggests that faithful adaptation requires not replication but translation, not copying but interpretation, not repetition but reinvention. Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, and Eben Moss-Backrack have created definitive versions of characters who have waited decades for proper cinematic treatment, their performances ensuring that these interpretations will last. Michael Giacchino's score joins film music canon, its melodies instantly memorable, its themes emotionally resonant, its craft deserving of the attention it will receive from scholars and fans alike. The Fantastic Four: First Steps concludes with its characters exactly where they should be, together, hopeful, prepared for whatever comes next, their first steps taken, their journey begun, their story continuing beyond the frame. Audiences leave theaters carrying memories that will last, characters who have entered their emotional lives, a world they hope to visit again, a story whose ending feels like beginning, because that's exactly what it is. The film's final image, the Fantastic Four united against New York skyline, captures everything that matters about these characters, their bond visible in posture and proximity, their commitment evident in how they face the future together, their humanity confirmed by everything that follows. Franklin's cry echoes through Baxter Building corridors, new life demanding attention, new love requiring protection, new hope justifying everything his parents have done and will do to keep him safe in. Universe that wants his power but will never receive it while they draw breath. Galactus drifts through void, his hunger momentarily forgotten as cosmic awareness contemplates that blue world and its unexpected defenders, his return already certain even as he travels away from them. The Silver Surfer's chrome form catches light from distant star, her trajectory carrying her toward unknown destinations, her thoughts returning occasionally to flames that warmed her briefly, to connection that reminded her what she lost and what she might someday recover. Earth 828 continues spinning through space, its retrofuture dreams intact, its defenders watching, its future unwritten but its present secure, thanks to four people who chose each other and chose heroism and chose family above all else. The Fantastic Four: First Steps has earned its place in cinematic history, a film that finally gets right what so many got wrong, that understands what matters about these characters, that delivers everything fans hoped for, and more that they never knew they wanted. Matt Shakman and his collaborators have created something lasting. A film that will be watched and discussed and cherished for years to come. Its pleasures enduring, its themes resonating, its characters living beyond the screen in hearts of all who meet them. The Fantastic Four have arrived, finally, fully, faithfully, their first steps taken, their journey begun, their story continuing in imagination of every audience member who leaves theater hoping to see them again soon. The Fantastic Four: First Steps constructs its narrative architecture around the fundamental tension between scientific certainty and emotional truth. Recognizing that Reed Richards's greatest challenges arise not from cosmic threats he can measure and analyze, but from human connections that resist the quantitative approach governing every other aspect of his existence. Pedro Pascal's portrayal of Reed Richards achieves remarkable depth through his willingness to show the character's vulnerability in moments when his intellect proves useless, revealing that genuine strength manifests not in having all the answers, but in admitting when answers do not exist and proceeding anyway with courage rather than calculation. Vanessa Kirby's Sue Storm embodies the paradox at the heart of her powers, demonstrating that invisibility can serve as a source of strength rather than limitation. Her ability to operate unseen, allowing her to shape outcomes without claiming credit, to protect without demanding recognition, to lead without seeking authority. Joseph Quinn's Johnny Storm benefits enormously from the screenplay's refusal to reduce him to comic relief, instead revealing a young man whose apparent superficiality masks genuine emotional intelligence, his charm functioning as tool for gathering information and reading situations that more obviously intellectual approaches might miss entirely. Eben Moss-Bachrach's performance as Ben Grimm transcends the technical achievement of motion capture to access something genuinely profound about human identity, his portrayal suggesting that who we are survives any external transformation, that the soul resides in choices rather than appearance, that humanity persists regardless of the body it inhabits. The relationship between Reed and Sue anchors the film in emotional reality that survives all cosmic intrusion, their partnership representing genuine equality between intellect and intuition, between scientific method and maternal wisdom, between the desire to understand everything and the wisdom to accept that some things resist understanding. Galactus's visual realization draws not only from Jack Kirby's original designs, but from centuries of artistic attempts to represent the sublime, his scale and presence evoking the terror and wonder that humans have always felt when confronting forces that dwarf their comprehension and control. Julia Garner's Silver Surfer communicates centuries of tragedy through posture and movement alone, her chrome form expressing sorrow that words could never capture. Her performance proving that physical restriction can inspire creative expression rather than limiting it. Matt Shakman's direction demonstrates remarkable confidence in allowing scenes to breathe, trusting audiences to invest in quiet character moments without requiring constant action to maintain engagement, an approach that distinguishes the film from more frenetic entries in the superhero genre. Michael Giacchino's score weaves thematic material with sophistication rare in contemporary film music, his leitmotifs evolving as characters develop, his melodies lodging in memory long after credits roll, his orchestration supporting emotional beats without overwhelming them. Production designer Kasra Farahani has created Earth 828 with such meticulous attention to detail that the world feels fully realized beyond what camera captures. Every background element suggesting stories happening just outside the frame, every design choice reinforcing the film's thematic concerns. The film's treatment of pregnancy avoids the narrative convenience that often characterizes such storylines, treating Sue's condition with respect for its physical and emotional demands, while integrating it meaningfully into the plot rather than using it merely as motivational shorthand for her character. Reed's laboratory sequences reveal a mind most comfortable when confronting measurable phenomena, his scientific instruments providing certainty that human relationships cannot offer. Yet his growing attachment to Sue and their unborn child forces him to accept that life's most significant aspects resist quantification. Ben Grimm's Jewish identity receives treatment that feels organic rather than performative, his faith informing his response to physical transformation in ways that resonate with theological traditions regarding the relationship between body and soul. His struggle echoing ancient questions about authentic identity. Johnny's instant connection with the Silver Surfer suggests that genuine emotional recognition operates independently of logic or self-interest, his heart recognizing something in this cosmic being that his mind cannot yet comprehend, his openness to connection serving as bridge between humanity and cosmic tragedy. Sue's force fields receive increasingly sophisticated visual treatment as the film progresses, their geometric patterns and energy signatures evolving to reflect her growing mastery and emotional state, transparent barriers that simultaneously protect and reveal her inner experience. Reed's elastic powers find creative application in moments of quiet domesticity as well as action, his ability to stretch serving mundane purposes that reveal how thoroughly he has integrated his abilities into daily existence, his powers becoming extension of personality rather than mere combat tools. The Baxter Building's design as both home and headquarters creates spatial dynamics where domestic intimacy coexists with scientific endeavor, personal spaces opening onto laboratories and living quarters connected to launch bays, physical manifestation of the team's inability to separate private and public lives. Galactus's dialogue consists largely of statements that sound like observations rather than threats, his perspective so vast that human concepts of menace and mercy simply do not apply to his cosmic calculations, his words carrying weight of natural phenomena rather than villainous intent. The Silver Surfer's chrome surface occasionally reveals ghostly images of Shallowball beneath, visual effects choices suggesting the person trapped within the Herald's form fighting to maintain identity against cosmic erasure, her humanity persisting despite everything that would extinguish it. Matt Shakman's background in theater informs his approach to ensemble scenes, his blocking ensuring that silent characters remain present and responsive even when focus rests elsewhere, creating the impression of genuine interaction rather than staged dialogue between speaking parts. The film's color palette creates visual language separating human warmth from cosmic indifference, warm amber tones of domestic scenes cooling as threats approach, then warming again as family bonds reassert primacy over external dangers, color serving thematic purpose beyond mere aesthetics. Reed's scientific method proves inadequate when confronted with Galactus's offer regarding Franklin, his analytical framework providing no guidance for a choice without correct answer, only consequences that must be lived with rather than calculated, his intellect meeting its match in moral complexity. Sue's leadership style emerges through choices rather than declarations, her decisions revealing strategic mind that considers long-term consequences while remaining flexible enough to adapt when circumstances change unexpectedly, authority earned through demonstrated competence rather than claimed through position. Ben Grimm's scenes of solitary contemplation, often set against New York's skyline visible from his quarters, provide necessary emotional grounding for a film that could easily lose itself in cosmic ambitions, reminding audiences that heroism begins with private struggles rather than public victories. Johnny's character arc reaches climax in moment of genuine sacrifice that feels earned precisely because his earlier behavior has established him as someone capable of growth. His evolution from self-absorption to selflessness tracing believable trajectory that honors his essential nature while expanding it. The film's treatment of 1960s aesthetics extends beyond visual design into behavioral patterns and social expectations, creating a world where gender roles and cultural norms reflect era, while allowing characters to quietly transcend limitations that constrain their real-world counterparts. HERBIE's design incorporates elements suggesting both optimistic robotics of the era and limitations of 1960s technology, his square head and mechanical movements evoking time when computers occupied entire rooms and artificial intelligence meant something far simpler than modern audiences might expect. The Fantasticar's deployment in action sequences demonstrates commitment to practical problem-solving over deus ex machina solutions. Its modular design allowing creative applications that reflect Reed's engineering genius rather than magical thinking, technology serving story rather than substituting for it. Sue's pregnancy becomes narrative engine driving character development for entire team, forcing each member to confront what family means to them and what they would sacrifice to protect something larger than themselves. Unborn child functioning as catalyst for growth across ensemble. Reed's obsession with monitoring Franklin's development through increasingly elaborate technological means reveals his fundamental discomfort with uncertainty, his attempts to measure and predict his child's future representing futile attempt to control what cannot be controlled, science reaching limits of its application. Galactus's departure from Earth, 828 leaves behind questions that future installments will presumably address. His interest in Franklin suggesting that this confrontation represents beginning rather than end of their cosmic conflict, his hunger eternal and his purposes inexorable. The Silver Surfer's fate remains ambiguous, her connection to Johnny suggesting possibilities that future stories may explore, her tragedy finding momentary relief in human recognition that reminded her what she lost and what she might someday recover. Matt Shakman's direction of the birth sequence during Space Chase represents remarkable balancing act, maintaining tension and spectacle while never losing sight of scenes' profound emotional stakes and human vulnerability, action-serving character rather than substituting for it. Michael Giacchino's score incorporates subtle thematic variations tracking character development, motifs evolving as relationships change and stakes escalate, musical themes providing emotional continuity that survives cuts and transitions. Production design creates distinct environments for each character, from Johnny's bachelor pad to Ben's Spartan quarters, spaces that reveal personality through contents and arrangement, visual storytelling operating beneath and beyond dialogue. The film's approach to exposition trusts audiences to understand character relationships and world rules through observation rather than explanation. Confidence in viewer intelligence that distinguishes it from more didactic superhero fare, where every motivation requires verbal articulation. Reed's laboratory contains evidence of failed experiments and abandoned projects, visual reminders that even genius encounters limitations, and that progress requires accepting failure as part of process rather than evidence of inadequacy, humility learned through accumulated experience. Sue's relationship with her brother Johnny reveals maternal aspects of her personality even before her pregnancy, establishing that her protective nature predates her role as mother, her care for family extending beyond nuclear unit to encompass all those she loves. Ben Grimm's physical transformation affects his relationship with spaces designed for human proportions, production design incorporating doorways and furniture that accommodate his size while reminding audiences of his separation from ordinary experience. Architecture reflecting characters' isolation. Johnny's flirtatious nature becomes genuine asset rather than character flaw when directed toward Silver Surfer, his openness to connection serving as bridge between humanity and cosmic tragedy. His emotional availability allowing recognition that more guarded characters could not achieve. Galactus's visual design incorporates elements suggesting his ancient origins, armor patterns evoking civilizations long since consumed by his hunger, visual details telling story of countless worlds that preceded this one and countless more that will follow. The film's sound design creates distinct auditory landscapes for Earth, 828, from hum of flying cars to particular echo of Baxter Building corridors, building sonic world as detailed and immersive as visual counterpart, audio contributing equally to world building. Reed's final acceptance that some problems have no scientific solutions represents genuine character growth, his intellectual humility expanding to encompass mysteries that resist quantification and control. Wisdom gained through experience rather than study. Sue's transformation from reluctant participant to confident leader completes arc that feels organic because her growth occurs through accumulated experience rather than single transformative moments, authority accumulated through demonstrated competence. Ben Grimm's acceptance of his transformed body, while never complete, allows him to find purpose in protecting others who cannot protect themselves, his physical form becoming instrument of service rather than source of shame, identity finding expression through action. The film's achievements will influence superhero cinema for years to come. Its emphasis on character over continuity, its trust in audience intelligence, its willingness to be sincere in an ironic age, its success proving that emotional authenticity matters more than franchise architecture. Matt Shakman has directed a film that works as entertainment and art simultaneously, its ambitions encompassing both commercial requirements and creative aspirations, each supporting rather than undermining the other, integration rather than compromise. The cast has created characters who will define these roles for a generation, their performances establishing templates that future interpretations will inevitably reference and respond to, definitive versions that set standard for all who follow. Michael Giacchino has composed music that enhances every scene without demanding attention, his score supporting narrative while maintaining independent integrity that rewards separate listening, functional art that transcends function. Production design has created world that invites exploration, its details promising discoveries that reward attention, its coherence suggesting reality beyond what camera captures, world building that serves story while exceeding its requirements. The film's themes of family, sacrifice, and protection resonate beyond genre boundaries, their human relevance surviving cosmic context, their emotional truth independent of superpowers and alien threats, universal concerns finding expression through specific narrative. Reed's journey from certainty to humility provides model of growth applicable to any context. His recognition that some things cannot be controlled representing wisdom applicable far beyond Baxter building walls, intellectual expansion through limitation acknowledged. Sue's emergence as leader demonstrates that authority earned through competence and care proves more durable than power claimed through assertion or inheritance, her influence growing because she deserves it rather than demanding it, leadership as service rather than position. Ben's acceptance of transformation suggests that identity survives any external change, that who we are resides in choices rather than appearance, that soul persists regardless of body's form, humanity defined by action rather than aspect. Johnny's maturation proves that growth need not sacrifice joy, that responsibility and pleasure can coexist, that becoming adult means adding depth rather than subtracting brightness, development as expansion rather than replacement. Franklin's birth represents hope that justifies any sacrifice, future worth any present cost, possibility worth any protection, love worth any loss, new life carrying weight of all that came before and all that follows after. Galactus's departure promises return, his cosmic purposes ensuring that Earth 828 will see him again, his hunger eternal, his interest in Franklin ensuring that this story continues, cosmic conflict deferred rather than resolved. The Silver Surfer's fate remains open, her connection to Johnny suggesting possibilities that future installments may explore, her tragedy finding resolution that remains unwritten, her story pausing rather than ending. Earth 828 awaits its hero's next adventure, its retro future providing setting for stories that could go anywhere, its aesthetic promising visual pleasures that distinguish it from every other cinematic world, narrative potential unlimited by established parameters. The Fantastic Four: First Steps has earned its place in cinematic history, a film that finally gets right what so many got wrong, that understands what matters about these characters, that delivers everything fans hoped for and more that they never knew they wanted. Matt Shakman and his collaborators have created something lasting, a film that will be watched and discussed and cherished for years to come, its pleasures enduring, its themes resonating, its characters living beyond the screen in hearts of all who meet them. The Fantastic Four have arrived, finally, fully, faithfully, their first steps taken, their journey begun, their story continuing in imagination of every audience member who leaves theater hoping to see them again soon, anticipation meeting satisfaction in rare achievement of franchise filmmaking that serves both immediate pleasure and long-term investment. Reed returns to his laboratory, new questions emerging from answers found, scientific method applied to mysteries that resist solution, genius learning that some problems require not solution but acceptance, wisdom growing through limitation acknowledged rather than overcome. Sue expands the Future Foundation's mission, her vision of protection encompassing global challenges as well as cosmic threats, proactive problem-solving preventing crises before they require reactive heroism, her leadership extending beyond family to embrace world. Ben finds peace not in transformation reversed but in purpose discovered, his rocky form becoming familiar rather than foreign, his identity confirmed by those who see past surface to soul beneath, acceptance growing through action rather than reflection. Johnny matures into responsibility without losing joy, his flames burning as bright but burning with purpose now, heat that warms rather than merely illuminates, his fire finding direction through connection rather than consumption. The Fantastic Four await whatever comes next, their first steps taken, their direction clear, their commitment to each other tested and proven, their future unwritten but their foundation secure, family first and heroes second, together facing whatever comes. Earth 828 continues its retrofuture existence, flying cars tracing patterns against skies where Galactus once loomed, its citizens mostly unaware of how close they came to consumption, how thoroughly four people changed their world by refusing to sacrifice its future for its present, gratitude unconscious but real. Galactus moves through void, his hunger eternal, his memory of Franklin Richards persistent, cosmic calculations suggesting that this particular world may warrant return when circumstances align with his purposes, cosmic wheels turning toward inevitable recurrence. The Silver Surfer travels between worlds, her chrome surface occasionally brightening with memory of flames and laughter, her tragic existence briefly illuminated by connection that transcended her function, humanity persisting, despite everything that would extinguish it. Franklin grows, his first steps behind him, his future before him, his parents watching with love that terrifies because it makes them vulnerable and empowers because it gives them something worth any sacrifice, new life carrying weight of all that came before and all that follows after. The Fantastic Four. First Step stands as achievement that will reward revisiting, its layers revealing themselves across multiple viewings, its pleasures deepening with familiarity, its themes resonating more strongly with each return, film growing with audience rather than diminishing. Matt Shakman has directed a film that works on multiple levels, providing surface satisfaction for casual viewers while offering depth that rewards attention. Rare achievement in any genre, but particularly in franchise filmmaking where commercial requirements often overwhelm creative aspirations. The cast has created characters who feel like people rather than products, relationships that resonate beyond the screen. A world that invites return visits not because franchise logic demands them, but because genuine affection makes them welcome, emotional investment surviving commercial calculation. Michael Giacchino has composed music that will be studied and celebrated for years, his themes joining canon of great film music, his craft demonstrating that commercial art need not compromise quality, that accessibility and sophistication can coexist. Production design has created worlds so fully realized that audiences will want to return not just for story, but for environment, for pleasure of inhabiting this retrofuture space, for details that reward attention and invite exploration. The Fantastic Four have finally found their cinematic home, Earth 828 awaiting their return, their adventures only beginning, their first steps taken together into future bright with possibility and shadowed by threats that will test everything they have become, journey continuing beyond frame. The Fantastic Four. First Steps achieves its most profound thematic resonance through the parallel journeys of Reed Richards, learning to accept the limitations of scientific certainty, and Sue Storm, demonstrating that true strength manifests not in rigid control, but in flexible response to circumstances that resist prediction. Their complementary approaches to problem-solving creating a partnership greater than the sum of its parts, each character compensating for the other's blind spots while learning from their respective strengths. The film suggesting that genuine wisdom emerges not from any single perspective, but from the integration of multiple ways of knowing and understanding. Reed's gradual recognition that some questions have no answers and some problems have no solutions representing not defeat but maturation. His intellectual arrogance softening into humility without diminishing his capabilities, while Sue's intuitive approach gains credibility through demonstrated effectiveness. Their relationship evolving from romantic partnership into genuine collaboration that models how different ways of engaging with the world can coexist and enrich each other, the film. ultimately arguing that the Fantastic Four's greatest power lies not in their individual abilities, but in their capacity to combine complementary strengths into unified action. Each member contributing something essential that others lack while receiving what they need from those who complete them. The film's treatment of cosmic horror distinguishes itself from genre conventions by refusing to make Galactus comprehensible through human motivation. His actions driven by hunger that predates human existence and will continue long after humanity's extinction. His perspective so vast that concepts of good and evil simply do not apply to his calculations. Yet the film avoids nihilism by grounding its response to this incomprehensible threat in deeply human values of family and sacrifice, suggesting that meaning arises not from the scale of challenges we face, but from the quality of our responses to them. Galactus functioning less as villain than as force of nature against which human choices define themselves, his presence forcing characters to confront questions about what they value and what they would sacrifice to protect it. The cosmic scale of his threat paradoxically making the film's human drama more rather than less significant, as characters must find meaning within themselves rather than deriving it from the nature of their adversary. The Silver Surfer's tragic position between her humanity and her function embodying this tension between cosmic necessity and human value. Her eventual choice to connect with Johnny representing affirmation that human connection matters even when confronting forces that dwarf it. Matt Shakman's direction demonstrates sophisticated understanding of how visual language can communicate thematic content without requiring verbal articulation. His camera placements and movements consistently reinforcing the film's central concerns about family, connection, and the relationship between individual identity and collective purpose. The Baxter Building's architecture expressing through spatial relationships the team's inability to separate private from public life, their domestic spaces opening onto laboratories and launch bays as their personal relationships inevitably inform their professional decisions. Shakman's blocking in ensemble scenes, ensuring that silent characters remain emotionally present even when focus rests elsewhere, creating the impression of genuine family interaction rather than staged dialogue between speaking parts. His direction of action sequences prioritizing character revelation over spectacle, ensuring that each fight or chase reveals something new about participants rather than merely advancing plot or providing sensory stimulation. The birth sequence during Space Chase representing peak achievement of this approach, maintaining tension and spectacle while never losing sight of scenes' profound emotional stakes, action serving character rather than substituting for it. Visual storytelling operating at level of sophistication rarely achieved in franchise filmmaking. Michael Giacchino's score deserves recognition as one of the most sophisticated musical achievements in recent superhero cinema. His thematic development, tracking character evolution with precision that rewards close attention while remaining accessible to casual viewing. Leitmotifs associated with individual characters gradually intertwining as relationships deepen. Sue and Reed's themes merging as their connection strengthens. Johnny's theme absorbing elements of the Silver Surfer's music as their bond forms. Musical material providing emotional continuity that survives cuts and transitions. Giacchino's orchestration supporting dramatic beats without overwhelming them. His melodies lodging in memory long after credits roll. The score's theremin evoking science fiction films of 1950s while feeling fresh and contemporary, bridging past and future through sound as effectively as production design bridges them through image. His music contributing essential emotional information that dialogue and action alone could not convey. The final notes of hope tempered by uncertainty providing perfect oral equivalent for narrative that ends not with conclusion but with continuation. Production designer Kasra Farahani has created in Earth 828 a world so meticulously realized that it feels fully functional beyond what camera captures. Every background element suggesting stories happening just outside the frame. Every design choice reinforcing thematic concerns about optimism, progress, and the relationship between past and future. The retrofuturistic aesthetic drawing from Jack Kirby's original conceptions while expanding them into coherent architectural and social systems. Flying cars tracing patterns against skies where Galactus once loomed. Square televisions broadcasting news of adventures that citizens follow with rapt attention. Fashion reflecting era's optimism while allowing individual expression. HERBIE's design incorporating elements of 1960s robotics while remaining charming rather than dated. The Baxter Building's interior spaces revealing character through contents and arrangement. Johnny's bachelor pad suggesting his youthful energy. Ben's Spartan quarters reflecting his isolation. Sue's carefully curated living areas expressing her role as family anchor. Reed's cluttered laboratory revealing his obsessive nature. Each environment contributing to character development. Without requiring explicit exposition. The film's treatment of Ben Grimm's Jewish identity represents significant achievement in mainstream representation, his faith informing his response to physical transformation in ways that resonate with Jewish theological traditions regarding relationship between body and soul, his struggle to accept new form echoing ancient questions about what constitutes authentic identity, his recitation of Aramaic prayer while contemplating transformed reflection. Providing moment of profound emotional resonance that feels organic rather than performative. The screenplay trusting audiences to understand significance without explanatory dialogue. Mos Bachrach's performance conveying depth of feeling that transcends words. His Jewishness functioning as aspect of character rather than token of diversity. Informing his worldview without defining it entirely. His people's history of suffering and survival providing context for his personal tragedy without reducing it to sociological example. The film suggesting that specific identity enriches universal experience rather than conflicting with it. Ben's particular story achieving resonance precisely because it remains particular rather than becoming generic. Johnny Storm's arc from apparent superficiality to genuine depth represents one of film's most carefully constructed character trajectories, his early behavior establishing him as conventionally charming but emotionally guarded, his humor serving as armor against vulnerability, his flirtatiousness protecting him from genuine connection. Yet the screenplay plants seeds of depth from the beginning, showing his intelligence operating beneath casual surface, his attention to others revealing emotional awareness that his behavior seems to deny, his instant connection with Silver Surfer representing first moment when armor lowers, his heart recognizing something in this cosmic being that his mind cannot yet comprehend, his subsequent choices demonstrating that genuine growth occurs not through lectures or training, but through authentic emotional experiences that challenge existing worldviews. His eventual sacrifice feeling earned because his earlier behavior has established capacity for both selfishness and growth, his evolution from self-absorption to selflessness tracing believable trajectory that honors essential nature while expanding it, Johnny emerging as character whose apparent simplicity masks genuine complexity. Sue Storm's pregnancy functions as narrative engine driving development for entire ensemble. Each character's response revealing something essential about their relationship to family and sacrifice, Reed's anxiety manifesting in obsessive monitoring, his scientific mind attempting to control what cannot be controlled, Ben's protectiveness expressing his role as family guardian, his own childlessness finding compensation in devotion to Sue and unborn child, Johnny's excitement tempered by new seriousness, his recognition that family expanding means his role evolving, the pregnancy forcing each character to confront what they would sacrifice to protect something larger than themselves. Sue's own experience of carrying new life transforming her relationship to her powers and her purpose, her protective instincts sharpening rather than compromising her strategic thinking. The birth sequence during Space Chase literalizing theme of new life emerging amidst cosmic death, Sue. Demonstrating that maternal power is neither diminished nor secondary to superhuman abilities. Franklin's arrival representing hope that justifies any sacrifice, future worth any present cost. Reed Richards's journey from intellectual certainty to emotional humility provides film's most fully developed character arc, his scientific method having served him throughout life, providing solutions to problems that stumped others, earning him reputation as genius who can solve anything. Yet fatherhood confronts him with questions that resist scientific approach. His attempts to monitor and predict Franklin's development representing futile efforts to control what cannot be controlled, his analytical framework providing no guidance for Galactus's offer. Choice without correct answer confronting him with limitations of his approach. His gradual acceptance that some problems have no solutions representing not defeat but maturation. His intellectual arrogance softening into humility without diminishing his capabilities. His final solution to Galactus' threat prioritizing preservation over pride. Acknowledging that some victories consist of survival rather than triumph, his growth. Occurring through experience rather than study, wisdom earned rather than learned. Reed emerging as character whose greatest strength becomes recognition of his limitations. Galactus's visual realization and Ralph Inessen's vocal performance combined to create one of cinema's most convincing cosmic entities. His design drawing from Jack Kirby's original conceptions while incorporating elements suggesting ancient origins. armor patterns evoking civilizations long since consumed by his hunger, his scale communicated through careful framing and character reaction rather than lazy size comparison shots. Inessen's gravelly voice lending terrifying authority to observations that sound more like natural phenomena than villainous threats. His perspective so vast that human concepts of morality simply do not apply to his calculations. Yet his interest in Franklin introduces theological dimensions, suggesting that cosmic entities might have purposes beyond simple consumption, his offer to spare Earth in exchange for unborn child representing moment when incomprehensible force becomes comprehensible threat, his eventual departure leaving questions for future installments, his hunger eternal, his return certain, Galactus functioning as force of nature against which human choices define themselves, his presence giving meaning to family sacrifice by providing worthy opposition. The Silver Surfer's tragic position between her humanity and her function embodies film's central tension. Between cosmic necessity and human value, Julia Garner's performance communicating centuries of sorrow through posture and movement alone, her chrome form expressing tragedy that words could never capture, her connection with Johnny representing affirmation that human recognition matters even when confronting forces that dwarf it, his seeing past her purpose to her person providing momentary relief from cosmic isolation, her eventual fate remaining ambiguous, her chrome surface occasionally revealing ghostly images of Shallowball beneath. Visual effects suggesting person trapped within Harold's form fighting to maintain identity against cosmic erasure. Her departure leaving questions that future stories may explore. Her tragedy finding momentary resolution in connection that transcended function and purpose. The Surfer functioning as reminder that even beings caught in cosmic machinery retain capacity for human response.